Hi, I'm James and welcome to today's review. Today we're looking at the D&D starter set, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Now this is intended to replace the Lost Mines of Phandelver, which is still around and is still worth picking up. And there's also, of course, a third starter set, which is the Dragon of Icespire Peak. That is still, I believe, going to continue, but this is intended to replace the Lost Mine of Phandelver. So I'm going to break this review into two parts. This first part is for everybody, so you can have a look at it and see what you think to it. If you're a player, then I would suggest you don't watch the second video, because the second video I'm going to look at the adventure itself. So I've done a quick unboxing of this already, but let's have a look what we've got. Now we've got some dice. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 and 20. You're probably going to want a few more, particularly if you're playing this for a group, but that's a good starting point. A nice high quality dice. So we've got the Welcome to the Adventure, or a booklet, or Welcome Adventure page rather. Now you've got where to continue the journey, different things that you can pick up, and it's worth noting that they do have the Essentials kit showing there. There's also about going online. There is a very good little QR code, which if you go into that, then it will actually give you a lot of information about how to play, how ability scores work, all of that side of things. We've got the adventure book, which I'm not going to go through in any depth, as I said. I do like the fact that there's a lovely little Easter egg for those of us who grew up in a few years ago. I'm not going to say how many, but you'll see that the character there is Eric the Cavalier from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, and you'll notice various other ones make an appearance through the adventure. They're nothing to do with the adventure, they're nothing to do with the pre-generated characters. It's just a nice little Easter egg. I did quite like that. So we'll put that to one side. That's 48 pages. 48 pages? Yeah, 40. It is 48. I doubted myself for a second. 48 pages worth of adventure. We've then got the character sheets. Now, this is one of the downsides of the adventure. You have 5 pre-generated characters, but no way to generate your own. So you are intended to use these. So let's have a look what we've got. We've got a high elven wizard who's been a sage in their background. Now there is, I've spotted a mistake on this. Under proficiencies, they should have proficiency with longbow. That's been missed out. Now the character sheet's a nice new design. I do quite like the new design. It is nice and easy to read. It flows. It's nice. It's enough similarity to the previous ones for it to be familiar to us, but there are nice little extras in there. On the back then, it tells us about what a high elf is, about the sage background, how to make the character yours, and leveling up for each of the levels. Now, one thing I do like with this is each character sheet has got their own personal goal. Every character has a reason to be on the island. That's a nice touch, and they are quite well thought out. Again, I'm not going to go into them because I don't want people to play the adventure, not sort of know all about the other characters. So that's the high elf. You've then got a Lightfoot halfling rogue whose background is a criminal. And again, this one has a mistake on it, unfortunately. If you look for the investigation, it's got a +0, but they've got proficiency and it's intelligence, which is +2, +1. It should be +3. It's not a big thing. But it's just been missed in the proofreading. But again, I can live with it. You know, we all make mistakes when we do our own characters, and they've got nice little illustrations for all of the characters as well. You've then got a human paladin whose background is being a noble. That's quite a nicely done character. Again, you've got the background and everything on there. You've then got a Hildwoven cleric. That does seem to be a bit of a standard thing in D&D starter sets. who was a soldier previously, and again, plenty of information on the background there. And then a wood elven folk hero fighter. So you've got a good mix of the character classes there. There's enough there for you to have a good group. Now, there is something interesting I picked up on this, and I haven't seen it said anywhere in any of the other people who've looked at this, which is inspiration is missing off the character sheet, and there's no reference to it in the starter set rulebook either. So I have a feeling that that is going to be dropped when we get the next edition of D&D. I might be wrong. It is something that is nice for roleplay, and I think it's something that would have tied in nicely with the set, but obviously they don't want to be bringing rules in that they're going to get rid of. So, starter set rulebook then. We'll have a quick skim through this. You've got the QR code there. Sorry, it's not the one on there is the feedback. This is actually the one for giving more information. Tells you how to be a character, how to be the DM, rhythm of play. Now that's nice. How it actually games should be played. Some simple terms to remember: how the dice work, how to play the game. So it talks about the abilities, how they work, advantages and disadvantages, ability checks, skills, saving throws, social interaction, and a quick explanation of alignment. Whether you like alignment or not, it's quite useful to see it. Worth saying as well, all of the characters are good. There are 2 lawful good, 2 neutral good, and 1 chaotic good, but all of them are good. Talks a little bit about roleplay ability checks, looking at the environment, like lighting, falling, how to hide, perception, things like that. How to do combat. Obviously, this is going to be quite a large section. Goes through all the different bits and pieces that you would expect, the things that you can do when it's your turn. And there is on the website a really nice A4 handout that you can give to players, telling them all the things that they can do. And another good one explaining difficulty classes for checks. So I like that. It's been designed for beginners, and the DM video on there is really good. It talks you through the adventure, gives you tips, and talks about where it can be expanded a little as well. So going through damage and healing. So we're now halfway through the book. There's nothing in here that's unusual, really. Equipment, decent choice of equipment, decent choice of weapons, good adventuring gear, all the bits and pieces that you'd expect. We then get the section on spells. Quite short, because this only has your characters going up to 3rd level, so there are far less spells needed in this. And then at the back, a little appendix on the conditions. So what do I think of it as a pack? Because I'm trying not to give clues away with the adventure. There are some oddities. The one problem I have with this is it says for 2 to 6 players on the cover. When we actually look inside, and it talks about how to actually play, there is a section, that's actually in the adventure book, so I won't bring it out yet. It talks about playing more than 1 character, you maybe play 2 characters and so on. What isn't included are the sidekicks that were in the Ice Spire Peak set. That's a really good way to play it, because then you can even play it with 1 player and 1 DM. I think for who this is aimed at, you really would struggle playing more than 1 character well. You might be able to do it very much almost in a munchkin, kick down the doors and kill things type way, tactically, but you wouldn't get the role playing, and that to me is what this is about. I would say this works probably best with 3 to 4 characters, plus the DM. It's a judgment call though. Obviously, the more you have, easier it is. You are obviously going to be limited to 5 characters just using the set, but that's not a massive thing. Would I buy it? For a player, it's a really nice way to dip your toe in the water. From a DM point of view, it's also a nice, easy way to dip your toe in the water. So, swings and roundabouts, I think, with this. It's a good dip in the water scenario. The adventure is not as involved as the Lost Mines or Ice Spire Peak. What it is, however, is a quick, short campaign. So would I buy it? As a new DM, definitely. I think it's a great one to use to get players involved, but you would need to have at least 3, preferably 4 players for it to actually work well. I'll give more detail on that in the second video, but I hope that's been useful, and I'll see you soon for another review.